For the last 20 years, Halo has provided fans with fantastic gameplay experiences paired with a captivating military science fiction storyline. Mission Debrief at Podcast Evolved has completed a thorough evaluation of the top 20 missions in Halo's history, rating each for their merits across 4 categories: gameplay, level design, challenge, and storytelling. Based on the results of our experiences and subsequent ranking debate, we're proud to present to you the 20 best missions in Halo in honor of the 20th anniversary of the franchise. With most of Alpha 9 reunited, the infamous ODST fire team must find a way to save Romeo and get out of the city. Buck helps Mickey hijack a Phantom and then hops a Banshee to stay below AA gunfire and attempt to escape the city. After taking down a Covenant Scarab, the team decides to turn back and find Veronica Dare, who's been tracking down a Huraga named Virgil. Dutch shakes the sand out of his helmet after a heavy beach landing and heads into the local Uplift Nature Reserve to rendezvous with some fellow Marines. He quickly hops a Warthog, or a Ghost, and heads deeper into the Covenant's invasion of New Mombasa. After saving a squad of Marines, Dutch witnesses the devastating collapse of the space elevator. He manages to escape the chaos and finds himself in the heart of the city to search for his Alpha 9 squadmates. Cortana has cured her rampancy by accessing the domain and subsequently decides to take over the mantle of responsibility. She is steadily resurrecting an army of giant Forerunner Guardians to enforce her rule over the galaxy. Fireteam Osiris hunts down Blue Team, who is trying to bring Cortana back to reality. The Warden Eternal and his never-ending supply of bodies is eventually corralled by Cortana so she can lock Blue Team in a cryptum for safekeeping. Jameson Locke and Osiris save Blue Team with the help of Exuberant Witness, but Cortana's plans are set in motion and humanity is left in disarray. Chief and Arby crash land a Pelican on the Installation 04 replacement Halo with plans to light the ring and destroy the Flood. After fighting up to the control room through waves of Flood, the duo team up with Sergeant Johnson to quickly activate the ring and escape. However, 343 Guilty Spark takes issue with the plan and kills Johnson. Arby and the Chief make a Warthog run to race across the collapsing ring and escape on the Forward Unto Dawn. The Arbiter makes it back to Earth, but Chief and Cortana are left adrift in space. After escaping the Pillar of Autumn, Chief and Cortana dust themselves off from the Bumblebee escape pod and proceed to get their bearings on the unknown Halo world. They quickly discover that the Covenant is hunting down the rest of the ship's survivors. Foehammer delivers a Warthog so the duo can locate and save as many friendlies as they can. Buck and Rookie escort Dare's garbage truck into the sunrise with the engineer Virgil in tow. Unfortunately, the dawn isn't very sunny as the Covenant have overrun New Mombasa and begin to uncover the reason the Prophet of Regret came to Earth. Alpha 9 escapes the city with the critical Huragak asset as humanity hunkers down and awaits the Master Chief to finish the fight. Noble 6 dusts off after a fall from space and wanders into New Alexandria. The city has been overrun and the lone Spartan must do everything possible to help save civilians and evacuate the city. The struggle against the Covenant forces traverses a number of city blocks and a plethora of buildings before Noble 6 eventually hops a Falcon towards an AA missile site. The gun helps repel the invading ships above and save even more human lives. The UNSC Infinity crash lands in the jungle of Requiem, and the Didac takes chase. After tracking down one of the ship's recon detachments, Master Chief meets with Ship Commander Thomas Lasky, who is accompanied by a new brand of Spartan. Led by Spartan Commander Sarah Palmer, the Spartan 4s help John and Cortana reach the Infinity and repel the Didac's attacks while piloting a Mantis. Chief and the UNSC Marine Forces must clear out the Covenant's anti-air defenses in order to begin the final assault on the Prophet of Truth's dreadnought. With the fate of humanity on the line, Chief manages to take out multiple Wraiths, a Scarab, and an anti-aircraft cannon to clear the way for Lord Hood's fleet. However, they're too late. Truth opens the portal to the Ark and escapes just as the Flood crash land on Earth. After a motivational speech by Sergeant Johnson, Chief and a pair of Marines hop a Scorpion and chase down the Scarab that's been terrorizing New Mombasa. They cross the iconic bridge, leaving Wraiths, Ghosts, and Banshees in ashes. John 117 continues the hunt through the city streets before eventually boarding the Scarab from a bridge and taking it down. Regrouping on the In Amber Clab with Miranda Keyes and Johnson, they chase after the Prophet of Regret as his ship initiates a slip space jump above the city. New Mombasa is leveled in its wake. The Mantles approach exit slip space outside of another Halo, Installation 03. The UNSC is researching the composer on a nearby facility, and the Didact has his eyes set on attaining the device that can devastate humanity through digitization. Chief infiltrates the lab and begins working with Dr. Sandra Tilson to stop the ancient Forerunner. However, his attempt fails and the entire station is composed, leaving Chief running short on time and options to save both humanity and his AI companion. Reach is burning. Noble 6 hops across the crumbling skyscrapers on a Falcon to disable a series of communication jammers that are keeping the Spartans from receiving orders from command. Along the way, 6 aids Marines, helps evacuate civilians, and even escorts Sergeant Gunnery Buck to safety. With Noble Team already reeling from the loss of George, Cat falls during their escape from the area. Fresh off his enlightening conversation with the Gravemind, the Arbiter is transported outside Delta Halo's control room to chase down the Index before it can be used to fire the Halo. In the wake of the Great Schism, Thelvada must fight through hostile brutes with a little help from his Sangheili brethren on the way to intercept Tartarus. Foehammer inserts Chief and Cortana underground so they can commence their journey towards the control room. John battles through the bowels of the Forerunner installation, syncs up with a series of stranded Marines, and blasts his way through enemy barricades. After traversing a number of bridges that connect countless corridors and Forerunner chambers, Master Chief hops a Banshee and pushes through to his final destination. He inserts Cortana into the control room computer and she quickly learns the true purpose of the ring, locates Captain Keyes, and sends Master Chief on an immediate rescue mission. The In Amber Clab emerges from slipspace outside of a second Halo. Miranda Keyes orders Chief and Johnson to track down the Prophet of Regret on the surface. Chief touches down with a bang and traverses picturesque landscapes and ancient ruins with the help of a healthy UNSC weapon and vehicle arsenal. Foehammer drops Chief off in the swamp on the trail of Captain Keyes and his men. After entering the depths of a mysterious structure, he finds footage that reveals an unknown threat, the Flood. Chief battles his way through the horrific flood infestation and out of the structure before he's intercepted by a floating Forerunner monitor, 343 Guilty Spark. Chief and a squadron of Marines storm the beach in search of a map room that will help locate the control room that might shut down the Halo. 117 rounds the island on a Warthog and begins to uncover the true depths of Installation 04. Chief locates the map room, and Cortana uses it to find the next step towards unraveling the mysteries left behind by the Forerunners. After Noble Team discovers a Covenant supercarrier, our Spartans head for a Saber launch facility to hop a ride into orbit and acquire a military-grade slipspace drive to take out the Long Night of Solace. Once in orbit, Noble 6 fends off Banshees, Seraphs, and Phantoms so that George can access and load the drive onto a Pelican. Noble 6 and George then take the slipspace bomb onto a Covenant Corvette so that they can use its refueling track to transport the slipspace drive to the supercarrier and blow a giant hole in the middle of it. Unfortunately, George pays the ultimate price to accomplish the mission, and a Covenant fleet arrives immediately afterwards. The human Sangheili allied forces arrive at the fabled Ark via the portal at Void and are immediately met with resistance from the brute-led Covenant fleet. The elite shipmaster confidently commands the counterattack from above, while Johnson takes Master Chief and the UNSC forces down to the Ark's surface to find the Prophet of Truth. After taking down a Scarab, Chief and the Arbiter escort 343 Guilty Spark to the Ark's map room so they can pinpoint Truth's location and stop him from commencing the Great Journey. The Prophet of Truth has locked himself in the Ark's citadel behind a barrier protected by 3 towers. the Alien Alliance conducts a coordinated attack on all of the towers, but only Chief and the Arbiter are successful. Johnson's squad needs an assist to shut down the final tower. As soon as the barrier falls, the flood-infested Covenant Super City High Charity drops out of slipspace to complicate matters for both sides of the fight. Miranda Keyes sacrifices herself in a last-ditch effort to stop Truth, but her plan fails, and Johnson is forced to activate the Halo array. In an unexpected twist, the Gravemind orders the Flood to ally with Chief and the Arbiter to shut down the activation. The Arbiter gets his revenge on the tyrannical Covenant mastermind, while Chief deactivates the Halos. With their brief alliance ended, the Flood become the primary threat once again. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the best 20 missions in Halo. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. You can also support Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolve.
Evolve!